Welcome to the Soul Art Podcast. I'm your host and guide, Will Caminada, and it is my mission to help you become more in touch with your soul, expand your consciousness, and shine your light brighter and brighter so that you can live a life with more purpose, inspiration, and love. My intention for this show is to create a safe place where you can find support and guidance on your spiritual awakening and healing journey. Hello, beautiful soul. I'm so glad that you're here. I am so grateful and honored that you chose to listen to the Soul Art Podcast. And this is the first episode. Yay! And I thought it would be nice to talk about the concept of spiritual awakening. What it is, what's my personal view on it, what's my journey been like, and also because the spiritual awakening journey is a big topic here on the Soul Art Podcast. In fact, initially I thought of calling this podcast the Awakening Journey Podcast. But then I sat with both titles and my intuition told me that Soul Art would be the one, especially because if you don't know, I'm the founder of Soul Art, which is my solo company that aims to provide guided meditation, breathwork sessions, inspirational and educational content, online courses, all to provide guidance and support on your spiritual awakening journey and your healing process. So before I get into today's episode, I just have a small little favor to ask of you. And that is to take a moment of your time right now and leave a rating review on my podcast on Apple Podcast. Because when you do this, you help me reach more beautiful souls and help fellow humans to expand their consciousness and listen to my messages of love. Make sure you hit the subscribe button right now so you never miss any future content as it rolls out. So let's talk about the concept of spiritual awakening, and I will also share some of my journey alongside because all that I speak is from a personal experience. I wanted to create this podcast to be able to share my journey and my findings to in order to support you and help you and everyone expand their consciousness. I've been committed to my spiritual path and healing journey for over 10 years now, and it's really become my mission to help humanity heal and ascend. So if you know me or if you've seen the title of this episode, you probably already know what the spiritual awakening is all about, and you're probably on a spiritual path and understand the concepts that I'll be talking about. But you may also be new to this, which is absolutely fine. There is no better or worse. We're all in the same journey here. We're all in divine timing here. And that's a very 5D level of consciousness. It's leaving this duality mentality, but still acknowledging that we are in a 3D level of consciousness. But anyway, back to spiritual awakening. What is exactly? I believe that spiritual awakening is realizing a very basic but kind of difficult to grasp sometimes concept, which is we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I say it might be difficult because everything that's spiritual, and when we're talking about energy, it's not tangible, right? It's invisible. It's something that you believe or you feel. Other definitions that I might have for you is we are all energy and our essence is light and love. It's realizing that we are more than flesh and bones and more than this 3D physical life, and realizing that we are all just one consciousness. We all came from the same source, from the same creator. Some people call it God, some people call it the universe, some people call it consciousness, some people call it the source, and whatever it is that you call it, I think that it all comes down to how you live your life and if that makes you feel good. And it's important to remember that spirituality is different to religion. And I know a lot of you already know that, but it's important to remember. And I think that the main difference for me is that when you're on a spiritual path, you are questioning things and you are on a very unique and individual path to discover things for yourself. So you have questions and you go after them, and you will probably find that the questions are inside of you. Whereas in church, in religion, I'm not here to judge anybody or any creed or any belief or anything, but personally, I think that that's the main difference. You have questions, but you're sort of given a book. You're sort of given rules and things to believe in. And for me, I can say from my experience, I grew up in Catholic church, and I was given a Bible and a set of rules that I needed to follow and believe. And there are a lot of things that I learned from my religious background. But I would probably say that the main thing is what Jesus said, that we should love our neighbor as we love ourselves, because I truly believe that self-love is just the key for everything in this life. And yes, I hold on to that very much. And I guess the next question would probably be, how do we get to this realization? How do we realize that we are one consciousness, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience? Because one thing is, to listen to this as a theory, and the other thing is to actually go through something that makes you believe it and that makes you just have that inner knowing, right? And that's what the spiritual awakening is. You realize that most of the times, through a difficult and painful moment. So, for example, the loss of a dream, the loss of a loved one, heartbreak, a severe disease, challenges in life. So, for example, what's happening in the world right now, we're in 2020 going through a global pandemic. That's a very challenging moment. But I think that we are all going through a global spiritual awakening because of the challenge. And I believe that once we get through this, we will be different. And so in our personal lives too, we go through something difficult, and when we actually overcome it, we become a different person. We have this, sometimes people call it wake up call, or we just have this moment of understanding, not even understanding, but like realizing on a deeper level what really matters in life, what's really important. And so that's a topic that I actually want to go a little bit deeper, because a lot of people say, and I understand when they say, I had my spiritual awakening in 2011, 2012. And then it seems like spiritual awakening is something that happens once and that's it. But I believe that the spiritual awakening is a journey. We are always awakening. We're always evolving. We're always expanding our consciousness, even when we can't rationalize, or when we can't, even when we're not aware that we are going through a spiritual awakening. And there are different levels to this journey. You might be going through something that's really difficult, like for example, a loss of a loved one, and you might be going through a lot of grief. And that can be sort of a watershed moment in your life. And that's when you say, well, I had my spiritual awakening in 2012, because that's when I felt a lot of pain when I lost my mom, or whatever. But that's not gonna be the only moment that you will go, even though that doesn't sound very optimistic, but it's not gonna be the only moment in your life that you will suffer some kind of loss, or some kind of, or that you will go through some kind of challenge. So for instance, when I was 8 years old, I lost my father suddenly, literally overnight. He went to bed, and the next morning he woke up and he was going to the hospital. He had a heart attack, and he just went, right? That was a very traumatic moment in my life. And I could probably say that that was the catalyst for my spiritual awakening, even though I was not aware of that. But when he left and he made the transition, I started thinking, what happened? What happened to him? I was only 8. I didn't know many things. I started asking questions. Can he hear me? Where is he? What happens after you die? And so I started having dreams about him, where he would come and visit me and tell me things. And so that was probably the one of the biggest, one of the most painful moments of my life. But I would say that's when I started awakening. But it wasn't only until I was probably 30, um, that I actually feel like I owned my spirituality. And that's when I started meditating every day. And that for me was also a watershed moment, because I started understanding these concepts, this concept of spiritual awakening, this concept of healing, this concept of healing the emotional body and healing the traumas and overcoming fears. So I think that throughout my life, I had several spiritual awakenings, and I will, because, like I said, I think that we are always expanding and evolving. So I understand when people say I had my spiritual awakening in 2000 and something, but I do think that that was the maybe the more impactful, or the most painful event that they've gone through. And maybe I can say that that was the wake up call moment. And so other factors that help you realize these things, this spiritual awakening, I would add upbringing and societal and environmental influence. I think that depending on where you were raised, also your household and your family, if you have been taught from a very early age that being kind is a good thing, that we are more than just material and flesh and bones. There's more to life than this. That the most important thing is to be kind and to be loving and to love yourself. You are very fortunate. And then the other thing that can trigger this spiritual awakening is any kind of work that has to do with self development, self growth, and emotional healing. Any sort of activity or workshop that you go to that makes you look within, makes you look deeper into your fears, into your traumas, and you start getting to know yourself better. Meditation, like I said, has been the biggest thing for me. I think just sitting in silence and just being with yourself and accepting your thoughts and your emotions, it's probably one of the most healing things that you can do to yourself. And it's free. You can do it anytime. You can do it every day. And it is a practice. We're going to be talking a lot about meditation here in the podcast, and I will also be recording some guided meditations every month. And the last thing that I wanted to mention, that I think it can really help and support us on our spiritual awakening journey, is knowledge. Because when you learn things, when you start reading books or watching videos that can teach you this kind of things, like when you start reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, or any book from Dr. Wayne Dyer, or you start watching YouTube videos or Gaia TV, then you learn things that you obviously didn't know before, and that helps you expand your consciousness, and that will help you, that will trigger you into questioning, into curiosity, and curiosity leads to awakening too. And so I say that every aha moment that you have is you awakening more and you expanding your consciousness. Every time you learn something new, or you watch something and you feel that inner knowing that you've learned something, or you just have this realization, every time somebody tells you something, or you listen to a podcast, or you read a quote, and you go, that's you awakening just a little bit more. So I would like to finish this episode with this. Remember that spiritual awakening is a journey, and it's always happening. We are spiritual beings having this human experience, and this is a journey to remember who we truly are, a journey to remember our essence, light. If you would like to experience a deep and powerful meditation that will take you to a higher level of consciousness, I suggest that you try my 3D to 5D consciousness meditation, which is available on my website, www.willcaminada.com. And if this brought you value, please subscribe to my podcast and take a screenshot of it, share it to your Instagram story, and be sure to tag me at Guiwill, Guiwill, so I know that it's brought you value, and also your friends might benefit from this episode. As always, keep shining your light, keep your heart open, and let love lead the way. I love you. See you on the next episode, where I'll talk about the 9 signs that you're going through spiritual awakening.